Hello YouTube and welcome to Crusader Kings 3, House of Mordecius. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. You're in for a real treat, as with this sort of weekly series that we're going to be doing with Crusader Kings 3, we're going to be tracking the expansion and development of a single house with a single county and seeing if we can take over the entire world with just one county. Just kind of see where things go year by year, week by week. We're going to be seeing the development of things from all the way from 867 AD until I think somewhere in the 1300s is where the game ends. This game has been out for a while. It's been out I think since 2020. I have put in quite a bit of time playing this game, but I will say here's a huge caveat for this series. I am not an expert at this game by any means. I actually surprise myself sometimes with how little I know about how the game actually works, but we're gonna just have a little fun with it. We're gonna roleplay some, we're also gonna strategize some. For those of you who have never even seen nor heard of Crusader Kings 3, it's basically a game all about role-playing as a leader or ruler in medieval times. And like I said, we're just gonna each week kind of track how things go. The goal again is to kind of take over the world, but you never know. Things go awry in this game quite often, so we'll see where we end up. We're going to go ahead and get started with a new game here, and we are going to be starting in 867. You can see there's a bunch of various campaigns you can kind of start with if you'd like to start with a pre-made character, but we're actually going to play as our own ruler and create our own character. If you like this video, please make sure to like it. If you enjoy Crusader Kings 3, or if you hate it, let me know down in the comments, and make sure to subscribe so that you get notified every time a new episode of Crusader Kings 3, House of Mordecius comes out, and you'll get notified right away and you can watch the new episode. I don't consider myself to be an expert by any means at this game, nor do I plan on fully going 100% strategy nor 100% roleplay. I'm just going to kind of feel things out. We're going to start as sort of an analog of myself and just see how through the ages the character and the land that they rule develops. Now, I've kind of decided that this little county right here, which only consists of one county, this is probably a good place to start. Now, we're on the southern end of Ireland, and as you can see, for people who are not super familiar with this game, you have all of sort of the medieval world as your plaything, kind of. You can start somewhere in Asia, you can start in Southeast Asia, you can take over one of the huge kingdoms of Northern Africa and or Eastern Africa. You can start in sort of northern, Western Europe, you know, the Baltics, wherever exactly you'd like to kind of begin, but we're gonna zoom in way all the way down here in Southern Ireland. This is where we're going to begin. Now, I think the goal here, as I said, the goal is to kind of take over the entire world, but you know, often with this game you find out the best laid plans, you know, often go awry. So I think for right now, our main goal is going to be trying to get from this little southern tip of Ireland to control all of Ireland, and then we can start to see if we can maybe challenge the rest of the UK and get it all under our control. From there, who knows, maybe we'll branch out into France, maybe we'll try to take some of Northern Europe, but if we could, it would be amazing if we could actually manage to take the rest of the world. But we'll see how things go. For now, we're starting just right here, the small, tiny little county. We're going to create our own ruler. We're starting with the default rules, but we are going to be playing on Iron Man mode, which basically means that we won't be able to load our save and go back in case we make a mistake. We'll just kind of have to live with our mistakes. Now, once again, I am going to be making sort of an analog of myself. I'm going to be trying to make it look kind of more or less like me, give myself some stats that reflect my IRL kind of stats, I guess you could say. We can kind of see how the lineage of this earldom or realm kind of gets passed down. We're gonna do heterosexual just for simplicity's sake. I mean, honestly, like, playing heterosexual is like playing on easy mode, I guess you could say. Like, playing any other sexual orientation just kind of can sometimes lead to problems, as this game does try to stick pretty close to, you know, the real world morals of the time. Just, you know, heads up for anybody who's never played Crusader Kings 3. There's going to be a lot of parts where you're like, hey, are you actually going to marry that child? And the answer will be yes, absolutely, I am going to do that, because it's just sometimes the most strategically advantageous thing for you to do. We're going to start with the default faith here, Christianity and insularism. That's what this particular earldom is going to have you start out with. Gaelic is the default culture here. We are Irish. Character name, of course, will be Drognath. let's go ahead and edit our dynasty kind of banner here. Our name for this dynasty be Mordecius. Our motto, here goes nothing. We'll start from scratch on this coat of arms. For color, we're going to start on a nice black field. For layout, one seems fine. We're going to... Here's what I want to do, actually. You know, I have something in mind here for what the emblem could be. The NPC that my channel is named after, Drognath Mordecius, he carried a staff as, like, his primary weapon. So I think having this little staff thing, even though it kind of looks like a noose, weirdly, having a staff as its emblem I think is pretty cool. So we're gonna do that. Our realm, we'll go ahead and customize this. Aimed Mordecius. The adjective will be Mordecian. Our color on the map, we want a nice kind of deep ocean blue. We'll go ahead and go with that. We're going to start from scratch here again, and we'll do black. With our layout here being... You know, I don't exactly hate the idea of this. We could do the staves, and then have all of them be blue. Looks kind of interesting. Boom. We don't need to spend all day kind of doing all of this, especially the customization of the look of this character. We'll go with Western and Central European because that is kind of my family's lineage for the most part. Body fat, definitely going to go full. Height, I am extremely tall. One might say freakishly tall. So we'll go right about there. Skin color looks about right. Maybe like a tiny bit more pale. We don't need to get it exact or anything, just enough to where it more or less looks like me. For our eyes, I've got dark brown eyes. We'll go with that. That looks fine. Hairstyle, it's definitely not this color, whatever it is. It's probably more in this range here, yeah. And for hairstyle, I think short wavy seems fine. My hair's a bit long right now, but we'll go with that. That seems fine. For the beard, short stylish beard. This looks kind of more along the lines of my general look. I'm really doing myself a lot of favors with this guy. This guy looks handsome as hell, but, you know, it looks relatively like me, so we'll stick with that. 28 years old. That's going to make us born here in 839 AD. When we start the game, we'll be starting in 867 AD. And we'll be, of course, trying to keep our customization points under 400. That way we can still play for achievements. If you add any more than the available 400, you won't be able to get any achievements. We're going to start on hard mode, which means I won't be married nor have any children. And the whole point of this game basically is to make sure that you have an heir that is set up to kind of inherit everything that you've worked for during your lifetime. If you die and you have no heir, it's game over. So you basically want to make sure that you have an heir and they are set up to prosper. We'll go ahead and add some weight here, pack on a few pounds. I think that's probably about right. Sometimes judging what you yourself look like is kind of difficult. I'm thinking I'm probably going to go learning heavy with this character because, I mean, let's be honest, like, I'm not much of a fighter. I don't know much about military strategy. Diplomacy, I guess maybe that'll be kind of our secondary skill. Intrigue, you know, it's kind of difficult to say, but here's the thing that I will say. We'll pick one education. We're going to pick one personality trait that is positive and one personality trait that is negative. That way we kind of keep things fair and at least more or less have a rounded out character. I'm going to start out with Insightful Thinker as my education, just because having that at any higher level feels a little self-aggrandizing, but anything else doesn't really feel like it fits. So personality trait, you know, I think for our negative one, I think I gotta go with Impatient. It's a big problem that I have for sure. And then for our positive trait, I think maybe the closest might be Whole of Body. Like I think I'm relatively, if not terribly physically fit. I don't get sick very often, so that is certainly positive. Just to start out here, I'm going to put everything up to 8, just because anything less than 8, I mean, you're really shooting yourself in the foot with the character. We'll bump our learning up to 12. I think I'll put my diplomacy at 12 as well. Make our stewardship and intrigue 10. Put 1 point into martial and prowess. We can actually start the game at 400 points. And actually, you know what? I think that's what I'll do because I have a decent layout of stats here. And we've pretty much got everything set up here as we have it. So we'll finalize our character here. And here we have Chieftain Drognath of Mordecius. Here we are. We're unmarried. We're considered a fool. I really, really enjoy that. This is going to be a lot of fun. So here we go. Let's go ahead and start our game here. The House of Mordecius. So, here we are. The game has officially begun. You can see that the game starts paused, which means that you want to be able to kind of strategically kind of make some moves here before you unpause the game and let time pass. We're going to be setting our time meter down here to 1, the slowest possible game speed, so we can kind of hone in on each individual event as it happens in the year 867 for this first episode. So probably the first and most important thing right now is we have no player heir. That means if we were to die right now, and we eventually will, characters die pretty often in this game. If we were to die, our game would essentially be over. So we need to really work on trying to get an heir of some kind here pretty shortly. And the easiest way to make that happen is, well, we need to get married. So getting married in this game, you really want to kind of focus on a few different things here. Number one, they need to be able to have children, so they need to be fertile. They need to be healthy, because we don't want our spouse just randomly dying on us. It would be nice if they were relatively the same religion as us and relatively the same culture, though those aren't super necessary. It's mostly just for kind of the cohesion of the social unit. We'd like to see if maybe we can try to get some inheritable traits from them. They can have things like comely, which makes them a little bit more, you know, sort of attractive, I suppose. There are traits like fecund, which makes them sort of just more likely to have children. There's a couple other things that we'd like to consider here. One, if we were to get married to them, would it result in an alliance? And you can see that no characters have that ability right now. We only have one county. We're not a very particularly powerful realm here yet. Are there any that we could marry that would give us prestige? And the answer is no. Well, we could certainly hone in a little bit more on our religion, see if there are people that, you know, particularly share our faith. So that limits it down quite a bit. We'll get as close as we possibly can to our age, and we will marry probably Mirgol here. Oh, but she does have an inheritable trait that doesn't really give us a whole lot in return. There is a woman here who's got pretty dang good stats. She's also quite beautiful. The only problem is when we marry her, we're going to lose some legitimacy. We will be illegitimate. But sometimes you kind of just, especially towards the beginning of the game, you kind of just have to make adaptations. You have to make some sacrifices. And you know what? Sarah Lath here, you know, she seems pretty cool. So we're going to go ahead and marry her, or at least send the proposal, and see what happens. Now, the next thing we want to do is choose a lifestyle. Now, the highest skill that we have right now is our learning, so we're going to focus in on that. I don't particularly find theology to be something I care too much about, nor am I a doctor, so we're going to go ahead and stick with the scholarship focus. Boom, and I think probably the first thing we will take at this very moment is we will probably take pedagogy. Oh, and actually, never mind, I just realized we have 4 learning perk available, so we're going to take scientific as well. We'll actually take both of these, just so we can kind of work our way down this scholar skill tree and get the scholar capstone ability here. So that's boosted us quite a bit. We now have 16 learning, which is great. And now we have an empty position on our council. Now let's take a look at our council, and I want to kind of introduce you to all these people. Again, I'm not necessarily interested in making a tutorial for this game. However, there might be some people that have never heard of nor played this game before, and I kind of want to be the person to be able to be like, hey, this is what this game is all about. So actually, you know, I forgot that once you start the game, nobody's stats have really filled in yet. So what we're going to do is actually let like a day or two pass, let those stats kind of play out. We will hire a marshal at that point, and then we will probably look around and see if maybe anybody else can be on our council that might be a little bit more talented at what we need them to do. Here's a big pressing matter. We are not currently employing a personal physician, so we need a doctor for our port. We want to sort by aptitude, meaning the person who's most likely to be good at actually curing diseases and whatnot. Our bishop here has an average skill at being a doctor, so we'll go ahead and appoint him. Not only is he our bishop, but he's also now our doctor. He's going to be improving his skills, which costs us a little bit. It will be worth it in the long run. The next thing here is we're going to go to our military tab, and we're going to check out, you know, we've got a nice little army here, but they're not stationed anywhere. We want to station them right here in Tralee, which actually, now that I mention it, I want to show you guys here. This is what our little corner of the map looks like. We only currently have one city, the tribe of Tralee. And that is kind of our capital at the moment, the capital of Mordecius. Everything in this blue line here that you can see is that's kind of our border. That is the realm that we own. And hopefully here pretty soon you'll start to see this blue line kind of expanding out towards the rest of Ireland. But we shall see how that plays out. But I did want to kind of give you guys a look at, you know, we got a nice little area of coastline here. We got some coast, a nice tiny little island in the Dingle Bay. And we've got some forests here to the, you know, to the southeast. You know, our neighbors to the north, we've got Ormond, Thomond, and Enos. And soon they will all be mine. Let's take another look at our situation here. We don't have a lot of champions, so we're going to want to invite some. And that's going to cost us 150 prestige. Right now we have 450, so that would cost a pretty significant chunk. What I want to make sure here is that I can actually afford here to boost my tribal authority. It costs us 192 prestige. Now, if I were to pass this law, which I'm going to, it just gives me a little bit more sort of authority over the people under my command. I can get all the way up to level 4 and have absolute tribal authority, but we're a long ways off from that. But we should actually be able to invite some knights here. We still have that 150. I will send the herald right away. And it looks as though there are plenty of people we could potentially launch wars against, but I think we'll wait a couple of days, just see how things play out for the moment. We only have 500 troops at this moment. Launching invasions against our neighbors might not be the best or most advantageous thing for us to do at this very moment. What we're going to do here, 1st of January, 867 AD, as you can see, the time has not started, and I will be unpausing here in just one moment. I want to thank you all so much once again for joining me here for House of Mordecius. I'm very excited to see where this journey takes us, and it all starts now. So a couple of days have passed, and on the 3rd of January, we're going to take a look at our council. Their stats have filled in. They're actually not bad. We've got some pretty dang good. We've got a 15 for our spy master, 10 for our steward, and just to kind of give you an idea, 10 is kind of the average. 10 is like your average skill for that particular skill set that you're looking for. We do need to appoint a marshal, which we will do right this very second. We're going to sort these people by how good they are at commanding an army. Now, we're probably going to have to assign this guy who's only got a 6 in martial. He's very bad at what he does, but sometimes that's the best you can do, and so he'll have to do right now. Let's go ahead and introduce everyone to our council here. Here we have our suffragan bishop, who is basically the guy who's in charge of our church. And seeing as how I am a Christian, this guy, I believe, is sort of subject to the papacy, or I guess that would be Catholic. So, but he's you know, subject to a larger church structure, but he's kind of overseeing the Church of Mordecius. His name is Bishop Cassane of Mordecius. Our Chancellor, this guy is responsible for making sure that we have good relationships with the people around us. His name is Ermadoc. We've also got Airlaid, and he is our steward. He's responsible for collecting taxes. And our recently hired Mael Fade, who is our marshal. He's in charge of sort of promoting our authority throughout the lands, organizing our army, and training our commanders. And we've got Deirdre, who is our spy master, and she, of course, makes sure that nobody's spying on us, but she also does a little spying herself when the time is necessary. She currently on our council is the only person who doesn't really like us. She's got a -10 opinion of us, which mostly seems to come from the fact that she is patient and I am not. And you know, that will cause a lot of conflict for sure. So now that you know everybody on the council, let's go ahead and go to me in particular. And I want to go to the barber shop. You know, I hate to be picky, but this guy's hat is just like really pissing me off. So we're gonna go ahead and take that thing off. Go to our headwear here and put no headwear. We want him to wear something though. Do we want to put him in something? Putting him in a crown right away just always feels a little pretentious to me, just because it's like, well, you don't know if he's going to be particularly effective at, you know, what he does yet. We're going to put him in a Norse circlet. That feels right. You know, just something to denote, like, this is a guy of maybe some higher standing, but he's not necessarily a king by any means. In fact, our title at this very moment is chieftain, which means we have basically only some counties under our control, no duchies, nor kingdoms, or anything of the sort. You can see here that we have slots open for secondary spouses, but we'll wait to toy around with that until we get married, basically. Let a couple more days pass here. And on the 8th of January, I married a lowborn. I lost that legitimacy and I decreased to illegitimate. Unfortunate, but you know what? She's a beautiful young lass, and I need an heir, so things work out in mysterious ways. She is now Chieftess Serlaith of Mordecius, our wife and chieftess. So now that we are officially married and hopefully we'll be having lots of kids here soon, we're going to look for secondary spouses. Now, we could just take these two, although this one has an inheritable trait that I really am not a big fan of, and this one doesn't have great stats. So we're going to do a little bit more sorting here. We're going to open it up to all Christian faith and all Gaelic heritage. Maybe even look for people who don't necessarily have inheritable traits. Any that might give us prestige, yeah, there's not any. We do have a couple here that are not particularly lowborn, and a couple that will provide us with alliances. So some things to look out for here. We could marry Gormley. She seems pretty cool. However, she is deceitful, vengeful, and impatient. Not exactly the type of person I'd like to be married to. This woman here, who is sadistic, deceitful, and gluttonous, you know, just, I don't know, just something about that doesn't strike me the right way. Durgale here, though she is only 17, she does in fact have compassionate, humble, and trusting. These are all really good qualities and ones that would be, you know, we would want to pass down to our children. So I'll go ahead and take her. She's also going to, this marriage that we have between us is going to result in an alliance to this guy here, Chieftain Dunkad of Ormond. Now, Ormond is our neighbors to the exact northeast, and Ormond has a pretty good military, so it might actually help us quite a bit to be allied with them. Let's pick another spouse here. Now, this one, interestingly enough, Samthon, she has compassionate, that's great. She's got ambitious and lazy, which seem like they don't really go together very well, but you know, she's fine, so we'll take Samthon. She is actually a courtier of Chieftain Congalok up here to the northeast. He will be a similar military strength to us, and we're going to take that alliance as well. And for a third spouse, we might actually end up with Gormley after all. Let's take away the alliance property. We don't necessarily need to be allied with everyone, and why not? We'll open it up even to non-lowborns. Or excuse me, to lowborns, rather. So we've got her. She's forgiving, but also stubborn. She's also lustful, which means that we'll probably have quite a bit of kids. She's got really good stats, or, you know, decent stats at least. And, you know, she's of a similar background to us. The only problem is she's lowborn. But, you know, sometimes you just kind of gotta do what you gotta do. We'll send a proposal there. So we've filled out our spouse, our secondary spouses, and we can get underway. So on the 12th of January, we have in fact formed an alliance with Chieftain Congalok, and he's up there in the northeast. If you can see, I actually probably should show you that up here in Oriel, this is, as you can see, I'm mousing over this guy, and his area of the map turns green. So that's him. Good to have an alliance with you there, bud. Good to meet you. And Chieftess Flan, she is now our wife. Thank you, Flan, for your contribution to the House of Mordecius. Oh, and I almost forgot actually here that I wanted to see if I could upgrade this army. It might help us to have just a little bit bigger military. You never know when someone's going to come in for the attack, and it's just good to have some troops of your own. We, of course, do have our alliance formed with Chieftain Dunkad. On the 14th of January, he has signed this this nice little alliance with us, so thank you, sir. You surely will be a lot of help as we defend ourselves from any number of people. And again, our military is not the most strong or effective military that I've ever seen. We're going to have our marshal train some commanders. He is really not very skilled at this particular area, but it's kind of just what we're going to do for the moment. 1st of February, we have a champion arriving. Trenchad has now arrived and is a guest at my court. It's Valentine's Day of 867 AD, and I'm going to start taking a look at what we can do in terms of expanding our empire a little bit here. We've got the Earldom of Thomond to the north, and I'm going to see if I can't possibly take this guy's land. Can conquer his county for 15 piety, and I think that we're going to do that. Declare war! Here we are, only about a month and a half into the House of Mordecius, and we're already beginning a battle. So we're going to raise our armies here. The first army of Mordecius We're going to send them to the capital of Thomond to begin war. We're going to see who our commanders are right now. Now, I could send this guy out just so I don't die, but he's not as skilled at fighting as I am, surprisingly. So we're going to actually command our own army here and go all in. And what we can do here is we can also call in some allies. And I think that we will, in fact, do that. We'll call in Chieftain Dunkad from Ormond, and we'll wait to call in our second ally in case we need them, because it is rather expensive to call allies. But as we zoom out a little bit here, you can see that Mordecius has launched its first assault against a neighbor in order to expand our borders, see what we can do. Ooh, and something big has just developed here on the 21st of February, 867. Thomond has raised their military, and they are quite a bit bigger than we are. So we're actually going to want to try to maybe take another route. Yeah, we're going to try to go this way and see if our allies respond to our request for aid, because if we start a fight with them right this second, we almost certainly will lose. Chieftain Dunkad is accepting our call to war, and he will help us out here if he gets here in time. He's starting to raise his army over here. 853, that's pretty dang good, but will he make it in time? You know what? We're going to go ahead and resume our plan to invade the capital of Thomond, and ideally the first army of Ormond will be there to meet us. This is nerve-wracking. It could kill all of us. It could kill me to be in this battle with this many people. And as we head into March, we hear word that the first army of Ormond is on their way, but will they be fast enough? This could get ugly real quick, and it's making me want to call in our second ally, but as you can see here, we don't have a lot of prestige. And prestige is normally what you would need to spend to get your allies on your side. The 22nd of March, the Battle of Thomond begins. 563 of our troops versus 751 of their troops. See how this plays out. The 30th of March, 867, our allies from Ormond have arrived, and we now strongly outnumber this army here. This is exactly how I was hoping it would play out, and we will continue the battle and see how it plays out. But yeah, this could not have been more clutch at this point. Something I forgot to do, actually, I should have started this a while ago, is we want to start learning some different languages, because as of right now, I'm pretty sure all I can speak is whatever it is, Irish or Gaelic or whatever the language of the time would be. We need to start learning the languages of the people around us, or it'll be a little bit harder to become friends with them, form alliances with them, or just in general kind of work with them. So we're going to try to learn the language of Prince Rodri, who is Prince Rodri the Great of Gwynedd. He speaks, I think, Welsh, and we're going to go ahead and try to learn his language. So on the 3rd of April, 867, as I'm leading my people into battle, we start trying to learn Prince Rodri's language. And the battle for Thomond continues into mid-April. We are slowly but surely taking down their numbers. The 27th of April, our champion has been wounded in the battle. But here we go, it's almost approaching the end of April, and the battle is ours. We're now just sort of killing people that are fleeing. But we have victory at the Battle of Thomond, and as victory is ours, we capture some people in the battle. But we'll focus on that later. We took a couple prisoners, but we have victory at the Battle of Thomond. Now, our army is currently besieging Lumnich, and Lumnich is the capital of Thomond. We're going to be sieging for 8 months, probably, somewhere in there. But currently, in the Mordecian conquest of the Earldom of Thomond, we have a 50% success rate here, or 50% war score, as they call it. We need to reach that, we need to make that 100 to enforce our demands. And I think that taking Lumnich, the capital of Thomond, would bring us to where we need to be. So let's see how this siege plays out over the next few months. If we are able to take Lumnich, end the war, at that point, I think that's when I would consider letting our prisoners go. But at this moment, you know, they can sit in the cell for a few months. What's a few months in the dungeon of a horrifying Irish lord? And it's very good that we didn't call upon our second ally here, because we're still at negative 57 prestige and we have no positive income on that. So we're going to be in debt of prestige for a little while unless we can kind of do something about this situation. The 30th of May, a new champion has arrived. Dodgis has heeded my summons and has arrived at court as my guest. And as our siege of Lumnich continues, you can see that at the Battle of Athlone, our ally Chieftain Dunkad has continued the onslaught of the Tommen forces. So as we're kind of besieging Lumnich down here at the Battle of Athlone, they're sort of just killing whoever has fled the battle. And it's good that they have taken up arms to defend us, because we soon will own all of Ireland. So it's good to keep on our good side. And on the 15th of July, we have victory at the Battle of Athlone with our ally Chieftain Dunkad slaying the forces of Tommen. As you can see, we're still here besieging Lumnich, and the forces of Tommen are retreating, but they're retreating right toward us. And depending on where they go, we might just end up killing all of them, depending on how this plays out. Yep, and here we go. On the 5th of August, Battle of Tommen, the second Battle of Tommen, begins anew. And as you can see, they retreated back to their capital, but we were still besieging their capital, and so we will be facing them head on here. And it looks as though some forces from Vesterland and Weeman have began to assault Athlone themselves. Battles to the north as Ireland sort of just begins to erupt into mayhem. And we have victory on the 4th of September, 867 AD. And we completely decimate their forces, bringing them down to 0. I mean, not a single survivor. We've killed them all. Victory at the Battle of Tommen. And our siege continues, our siege of Lumnich. We have about 4 months left in this siege as we attempt to take all of Tommen from our enemies. You can see to the north, the First Army of Ormond is over here taking the tribe of Enos there on the western end of Ireland. Taithlich heeded my summons and has arrived at court as my guest at the end of September. Thank you for joining us, friend. We are approaching the end of the year. We're getting into October of 867, and some pretty good progress has been made here thus far. We're going to need to, hopefully in the next year, begin to focus a little bit more on developing Tralee, developing the lands around us, but we want to take a little land for ourselves just to make sure that we have a good foothold before we start sort of building tall, as people in the Crusader Kings 3 community call it. Building tall, of course, meaning investing in the lands that you have rather than sort of, besieging and invading lands that are not your own. Here at the end of October, we've got a battle up to the north, the Battle of De Shinok. I don't know who's kind of involved here, but yeah, just complete pandemonium in the realm of Ireland. I'm not an expert at this game by any means. I would appreciate, anybody in the comments letting me know sort of their strategies and what they like to do with this game. Role-playing wise or strategy wise, those things would be appreciated a lot. I try to just kind of do what I know is strategically effective, although sometimes that's kind of influenced by role-play matters, and sometimes you have a feeling of who your character is and what kind of decisions they would make, and sometimes that ends up being a little bit more fun than just straight up doing exactly what's going to be the best thing every time. But we're heading into the middle of November here. The siege of Lumnich is going swimmingly. We've also got the siege up here of Enos with the First Army of Ormond, our allies doing the besieging for us. The Battle of Dashinok is just raging on, and we are quickly approaching the cold season. As you can see, snow is developing on the land. The 27th of November, our wife has inspired some recruitment. Our earldom, the earldom of Mordecius, gained focused recruitment for 10 years. The recruitment of levies is being meticulously organized in this county, so our levy size has grown by 25%. Sir Laith, you are a wonder. You are a majesty. We have a good amount of spouses here. Hopefully, we'll be pumping out kids like frickin' hotcakes here coming up pretty soon. We're approaching December of 867 AD. Here we are on the 2nd of December as snow creeps across the land. It's possible we could be done with this siege by the end of the year, but we're going to be cutting it close, that's for sure. But we'll be well on our way to dominating Tommen for sure by the end of the year. And here we are, the 31st of December, 867 AD, as snow is crawling across Ireland. We're still, you know, at war with Thomond, and we will see, almost certainly we will be taking Thomond for our own, for the House of Mordecius. But you never know. Wars are unpredictable, and battles can go many different ways. Well, I appreciate all of you for watching. Please make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it. Make sure to comment. Let me know what you think of Crusader Kings 3 or House of Mordecius. Make sure to subscribe so that you get notified whenever I upload a new video. And I will see you next time.